And the lead up to the third fight between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin, I have been hearing mostly negative, despite the massive promotional push by DAZN and their affiliates. The build-up, the animosity, and the disapproval by fight fans from hardcore to casual is really starting to remind me of a classic matchup exactly 10 years ago in 2012. In order to find out what the fans thought about particular moments in boxing, you will have to figure out from newspaper articles or through archival footage.
Cassius has made millions of dollars off of the American public, and now he's not willing to show his appreciation to a country that is giving him, in my view, a fantastic opportunity. Hurts a great number of people.
Simply because Muhammad Ali has these beliefs, there's no reason why people should go against him. I think he is a great champion, and they should respect his beliefs. That's why I'm here right now.
In the modern age, from Web 1.0 all the way to today, boxing fans have expressed and voiced their opinion on the forums, which is now a historical outlook of what the fans thought of throughout the years. Almost 20 years of archived debates, theories, and opinions that anyone with a computer or phone can look back on. The build-up leading up to Canelo Golovkin 3 reminds me a lot of the build-up to Manny Pacquiao's fourth fight against Juan Manuel Marquez, and here's why. You have both Canelo and Manny coming off a loss in the spring that has demoted them as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter to then immediately jump right back into a tough fight in the final quarter of the year. You have an aging rival at the end of the road who fight fans evenly split thought he won the rematch, don't see the purpose of this matchup as he's seen not to have what it takes to turn back the clock. Even from the promoter's point of view, looking at the wide purse gap between Pacquiao and Marquez, Pacquiao receiving $26 million, and Marquez, who is the WBO interim champion and Tim Bradley's mandatory, was receiving $6 million. Besides that, fans were not as invested because it was made a pay-per-view, which is the case for both Pacquiao Marquez and Canelo Golovkin 3. Fans were so outraged at the pay-per-view price of $59.95 that Tecate had to help out and offer a rebate to relieve the boxing fans and encourage the purchase of the pay-per-view. Just looking at the forum discussion here, a wide majority is not impressed by this news, nor have the interest in this matchup because of it. Fans refusing to support the pay-per-view, one stating that this should be on Boxing After Dark, which that one is a bit on the extreme side. World Championship Boxing was the more appropriate reply. Scott C. of Bad Left Hook would say, personally, I'm not surprised at all. Die-hard boxing fans may be worn out on this fight, but as I've said before, 2011 was the first Pacquiao-Marquez fight for a lot of boxing fans, and we're still talking about two of the best fighters and biggest stars in the entire sport. It's been a rivalry for the history books thus far, and a fourth fight still has me intrigued. Ticket sales were incredibly cheap for this fight, the cheapest starting out at $200 and $400, the highest being at $1,200. Bob Arum even stating, act now for this 4 times in a lifetime deal. Luckily, the tickets did sell, and over 900 tickets were given to boxing fans for free. With the late surge of pay-per-view buyers coming in, the fight itself not only exceeded the third fight, but the second fight and the first. You have two parties who are, 1, competitively fed up with each other, 2, have massive distrust in the judging, and 3, came into the fight with the intentions of not going the distance.
Finally shutting these guys up, shutting Nacho up and Marquez up and knocking them out, and I think Manny can do that. They split him down 4 times, and I think he can keep him down this time. This
is a recipe for a great fight, but those who don't know their history are bound to repeat it. Once the feeling out process was complete, it was 100% certain both guys were going for the KO, turning this matchup in one of the greatest fights of the decade.
Hard right hand by Marquez, and for the first time in 4 fights, Manny Pacquiao has been knocked out.
And Pacquiao's giving him some feints and walking right there.
And there goes the knockdown. Manny Pacquiao evens up the knockdown count.
This will be named the 2012 Fight of the Year, Knockout of the Year, and Marquez will be named the Fighter of the Year as well.
Back to nail Pacquiao with the right hand. Oh! That's another knockdown.
He's not getting up, Jim.
He get up.
He's not getting up, Jim. He's not getting up.
No, he's been knocked out.
Before we continue with the rest of the video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to push the video because YouTube be tripping. The comment section discussion topic for this video is what's the worst fight you ever watched in combat sports live on TV? So boxing, MMA, medieval sword fighting, you name it. What's the worst? Mine would have to be Williams versus Cintron. Though it started off in the makings of an entertaining fight, maybe a classic, it ended very anticlimactic soon as it was starting to get good. Now I could have picked Klitschko versus Hay, but there's nothing worse as being teased into something great as it's in play while after 5 rounds you know nothing out of the ordinary was going to happen in the Klitschko fight based on how Hay was fighting. Thanks for sticking around and let's get back to the video. So Canelo Golovkin 3, based off of what I've gathered, is relatively the same. The only difference is that Pacquiao Marquez 3 and 4 was barely a year apart and Canelo Golovkin 2 was way back in 2018. And lastly, they do not like each other. Canelo's animosity towards Golovkin sparked during the promotion to the second fight, before the postponement.
No corras la siguiente vez.
Y te hablo a ti porque tu peleador no dice nada.
No corras.
Eres el que más abres el hocico.
No corras.
After the postponement due to the tainted meat incident with Canelo, Golovkin's team went in an all-out smear campaign to hype up the rematch.
Superhuman power requires a special ingredient, and it's called hard work.
Now, I'm not going to go fully into this because that's for another time, but even though Canelo had proved his innocence, going as far as undergoing more tests proving that this was tainted meat and not abuse of a banned substance, like most things in society, you're guilty till proven innocent, and when you're proven innocent, you're still guilty because the media was only there during the beginning, leaving many to believe and still believe he's a cheater. With Golovkin's team fueling the flame, that ate him up. I'll never forget when I was backstage before the weigh-in of the rematch. I was talking to my friend who was part of Canelo's video crew. Canelo has his own personal crew that is literally with him the entire camp and fight week, and I asked him, how you think this is gonna go? And he straight up told me how much of a mental ordeal it was in the following months leading up to the fight, and Canelo is going to try and make it his mission to knock Golovkin out. Now this is before the weigh-in, and during the weigh-in a fight almost broke out. Many folks said that was staged, and I was like, no dude, those guys hate each other. I was there, that was wild. This is definitely a grudge match, and it definitely did not resemble the previous fight. Not many were expecting Canelo to be fighting the way he did, and certainly Golovkin was not expecting as well, but he brilliantly adjusted to the new challenge. Now this is sort of off topic here. Besides the fight itself, the craziest take I personally saw during the fight was how the crowd turned on Golovkin. When Golovkin entered the ring, his name announced and all, I felt like it was 60-40 pro Golovkin, all because I heard so many boos when Canelo had entered and when his name was announced. Now the broadcast didn't show that. I'm assuming most folks must have put money down on Canelo but was rooting for Golovkin because Canelo came in as the 2-1 underdog. The minute it looked like Canelo really had it in him to pull off the victory, putting Golovkin on the back foot, those folks changed sides quick. The first fight between the two, everybody who attended was given reversible headbands. One side a Team Golovkin, the other side Team Canelo. Here's a photo. I kept a couple from that night. I felt like if they were passing them out in the rematch, folks would have been reversing the sides of the headband in the second half of the fight. Now we get to the announcement of the winner. Canelo is announced as the winner. Crowd goes wild, which I couldn't hear a single boo, especially since Canelo entered the ring with boos. Golovkin doesn't stick around for the post-fight interview and leaves the ring, which the HBO broadcast had muted the insane amount of boos towards Golovkin. As they were walking away from the ring, Abel looks over to my producer and smiles and says, "What a great fight." Even though both fight weeks was quite hectic, that was sad to see such an amazing fighter get booed like that after putting up such a great fight that elevated the sport. Well, that's my personal account. I've been waiting 4 years to tell that in a video. It's not everything, but I'll share more another time. So back on track here. In conclusion, both plain don't like each other. It's not an act, it's real.
Different people. He pretends to be a nice guy, but he's not. He's an asshole. That's what he is. He pretends to be a nice guy, and oh yes, I'm just looking for the fight. I'm happy, but in other place he talk a lot of shit. It is what it is. Just be a man and say what you say.
Both do not trust the judges, and based on what I've seen with these type of matchups, this has a great chance of exceeding the rematch. I hope everyone watching this video looks at this matchup in a different light and don't be one of the ones who missed out on a potential Pacquiao Marquez 4. And on top of that, this is my thoughts on Canelo GGG3. For more videos like these, be sure to like, share, and if you're new, subscribe to Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. I'm Alpha Sancho, and I'm out.